All right. Is this working now? Oh, hey, we're picking up audio now. Hooray! Hopefully people will make it over now that I had to restart this foolish thing. Okay, sorry about the technical difficulties. My mic had gotten unplugged and then YouTube refused to acknowledge its existence once I plugged it back in. So that was fun. Sweet. Thanks, Bud. Thank you so much for helping me out with that. I did not realize it was not working. Because, of course, YouTube was like, oh, yeah, no, I see your mic. It's good. But no, it was not actually, it was not actually communicating with it. So thank you for the assist. I appreciate that. So we're going to jump right into it now. I will talk as I go because we got delayed starting here. Hopefully people will find this and come over. So yes, this should be where we finish this page up. This is a page from I Am the First. We've worked on it for 3 sessions already. 2 of them were penciling. 1 was inking the background with and some details with the pen. And now we are going to try to get as close to done as we can during tonight's session with the brush. With what's left, which is pretty much all figures. Get all these little fine details on his face. Now my light is flickering. I don't know why. I don't know why. Get all his little beard texture in there. Well, I hope everyone's week has started off well. I had kind of a ridiculous start to my week. So my part-time day job is as a deputy town clerk for my small town. And I normally work 3 days a week. Hey, Hungry, thanks so much for joining me. So I normally work 3 days a week. It's just like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're a very small town. We're not open a whole lot. But then when we have like a meeting or like an election or something, then we work other times, obviously. And once a month, we have a selectmen's meeting. And last night, it's always on a Monday, like a Monday night. So last night was the selectmen's meeting. And for whatever reason, the fact that I had to be at work last night just completely left my brain. Like that fact just I had been thinking about it all day long. Like, all day I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to eat supper until I get home, like, I'm gonna have to come back and eat supper later, and I guess I should eat a snack beforehand, and, oh, I gotta make sure that I leave by this time, so I gotta make sure that this, and this is done around the house before I go." And then for whatever reason, like, a couple of hours before I had to leave, like, that entire line of thought just floated out of my brain. Like, I just completely forgot that was a thing that needed to happen. And part of it is, like, the kids got home from school, and so we started doing the regular old afternoon after school routine. But then it was like I was supposed to be there at 5, and so it was like 5:30, and I sit down. Hungry says the stream started to buffer right after you said deputy, and I thought deputy sheriff for a second before it came back. No, I'm not a deputy sheriff. Just a just a town clerk. Just a deputy town clerk. I will help you register your car, not like pull you over. Very different. Yeah, so, my husband had made supper, and I, like, sat down to supper at 5:30, and I sat down and, like, looked at my supper, and then it's like my brain suddenly came back online and was like, "You're not supposed to be eating supper, you're supposed to be at work." And I was just like, "Oh my god!" I just, like, got up and ran out of the house. Uh, I got to work, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I'm alive. I'm here. I'm just an idiot." And they're like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm just an idiot." I don't I have nothing else to say for myself. I don't know how this happened. Oh, it was so embarrassing. All right, let's get some this shading on his neck there. Hey, someone sane. Thanks so much for joining me. Had a little hiccup at the start of the stream there, but we seem to be working now, so that is good. I will have to go in and delete the false start from my channel, but I was not going to mess around with that prior to going live again. I will deal with it when the stream's over. All right, we've got Darnell's big beefy arm here. So I'm also having a very like big, busy week in general. Just this afternoon, a really cool release just came out. So it's the first RPG adaptation of Age of Night. So I've done a lot of work with Skirmisher Publishing for years, doing being part of their game development group and doing a lot of freelance illustration for them. And they've been my digital publishing partner, is what I call them, for Age of Night, because they manage my products over on all the One Bookshelf sites. So they manage the listings for Age of Night on Drive Through RPG, Drive Through Fiction, and Drive Through Comics, which obviously they get a cut of those sales, but that means that those are sales that I'm making that I don't have to mess around with. they're they're helping me make sales without me having to do it, which is nice. And so we've had this really good partnership for a really long time, and we've been kind of like, hey, we should totally do something with Age of Night. And there's like a really big RPG system that Skirmishers had and developed for several years now that I really want to do an Age of Night adaptation for, but it's still not out yet. It's still not ready. So that's like kind of on the back burner until that system is ready. But in the meantime, we released this really light and super easy system called the Travel Size Role Playing Game, or TSRPG. And it's super easy to learn, super easy to run, super easy to play, very narrative. And it's also really easy to write modules for. So we've all been taking turns kind of like coming up with different scenarios to release for it, either like little one shots or things that have like a couple of sessions. And so we were like, hey, we should do an Age of Night scenario. And I was like, hey, that would actually work really well because this system is really good for more narrative kind of stuff. And so I adapted uh, a couple of scenes from a couple of chapters of Age of Night. So it's chapters 7 and 8. So that's the end of volume 1 and beginning of volume 2. And it's a scenario called Temple of the Banished Suns, and it's available on Drive Through RPG right now. And I'm like really excited because we're finally doing an Age of Night RPG. And the cool thing about it is like you can get the travel sized role playing game system, like the core book, for just a couple of bucks. It's all available digitally, like just digital downloads. You can get the Age of Night scenario for just a couple of bucks. It's super affordable. And obviously, if you've read the comic, you're going to know like roughly how it's supposed to go, but it's also really fun to people, run through with people who maybe aren't as familiar with it. Or even if they are, it's just kind of fun to like experience the story in that different way. Yeah, it's really great. So what's fun about the TSRPG is that it is made to be played with nothing. Like the idea is that you are, you know, stuck in an airport and all of your checked luggage is separated from you and has all your gaming stuff, but you're like, "Oh, my flight's delayed and I'm gonna be here for a lot longer than I thought." Well, let's play a game. This is a game that you can do with literally nothing. You don't need dice, which generally I'm like, "What? No dice?" But it actually works really well because it uses like a number guessing in a with like a number guessing and random number generator. Uh yeah, Drive Through RPG is the site where it's sold. And the particular game is TSRPG, or Travel Sized RPG, and then my scenario is Temple of the Banished Suns. It's also just really neat. I also got to come up with some new art for it. So there's new images of the main characters and of one of the Banished Sons cultists, and maps of the temple, which is stuff that we never got to see in the comic because they just didn't happen that way in the comic. But when you do an RPG, you have to like allow for a lot of other weird stuff. Do not carry dice in your pocket. I mean, sometimes, but sometimes they end up in the checked luggage. And also, if you're like in a car ride, it's kind of hard to roll dice. So yeah, it's great for like, oh, you're in like a long car ride and you want to like play an easy RPG like with the kids or whatever. I can definitely see doing that with my kids on some of our long car rides coming up. Yeah, it's a fun little system. I'm very happy that I got to make something for it. So yeah, I wrote the scenario adapting it from my comic, and then obviously uh the game development group, we all play tested it together, and everybody, offered their feedback. And Mike edited it. Mike Varhola, he's one of the owners of Skirmisher, and he did the editing and the layout, everything. But all the artwork is all from me. A lot of it is straight from the comic, just like put right in there. So it's very fun. I'm very excited about it. And eventually Age of Night will get like the big fancy source book treatment with an RPG, but in the meantime, we're probably going to do a few more of these TSRPGs, just little like one-off scenarios, kind of adapting more things that either did happen in the story or like could have happened in the story, but the story just never went there. So we've got a lot of opportunity because I've written a lot of comic. There's a lot of space there to play around in that world. So yes, if anyone does decide to try it out, definitely let me know what you think. Again, I have to stop and focus when I'm doing these facial expressions. Faces are so subtle. It's so easy to like accidentally completely change what a facial expression is supposed to be doing by just moving a line the tiniest bit. I don't have much experience with RPGs, but I have a couple of friends who play them. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this one is it's we joke it's barely even a game. So which is not entirely true. It is a game. It's just that it is very rules light. So if you're willing to uh indulge in what is essentially playing pretend with grown-ups around a table, then you can probably handle playing this game. All right. Hooray. That's the whole what did I miss over here? I think that must have been part of the chair that I missed earlier. Okay, so top tier done. We are 20 minutes into our stream. Not a bad start at all. My brush is looking a little furry. I think I might need to replace that sooner rather than later. Alec having an unusually relaxed moment here. Another thing, though, I was thinking about is, like, I'm not sure how many more pages of I Am the First I'm gonna be able to do on stream because, since we're on the last issue, like, I'm working on the last issue, it's just like, everything is a spoiler at this point. Everything that happens is giving something away. I don't I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'll have to conference with Remy and see what he says. Remy is the writer, in case you did not know. Because I Am the First is a project that I am only drawing, inking, coloring. I'm doing the art. Remy did the writing. He does also help me with flatting pages because I was like, this is too much work. I need help. All right. Yay. There's Alec. So the other crazy busyness that I have going on this week is that I'm going to be at PAX East this weekend. I'm not going like for myself or just for funsies. I'm going to be working in the Free League booth. I know some of you know me from my buddy Doug Schute's channel, Victory Condition Gaming. Doug is like the Free League, like US events coordinator guy. I don't know what his official title is, but basically he is in charge of all the US events. Because Free League is not based in the US. So they need a guy over here doing that stuff. And so Doug has hired me to work in the Free League booth at PAX East this weekend. So I will be in Boston at PAX East. I'll be working in the Free League booth along with Doug and our friend Higgins and Asha of oh gosh, I'm blanking. Asha from Adept Icarus. That's what it I'm like, why can't I think of the name of the company? I can think of the other person that I know from the company, but I can't think of the name of the company. Oh, goodness. But yeah, we're all going to be in the Free League booth. So if you happen to be at PAX East, come by and say hi. And maybe we can hang out after the show. But yeah, I worked at PAX Unplugged for Free League, and it was a very good time. And they treat their people very well. And it's nice to get to go to these kinds of events so that I can, spend time with my game design friends and network and stuff like that, but also have it be like a trip where I'm getting paid to be there to like work instead of just spending a crap load of money going and buying all the things. Hungry says, say hi to Doug for me. Oh yeah, absolutely will. I'd love to do ECCC. I always forget how many C's there are. I'd love to do Emerald City sometime. I have not managed to make it out for that one. Get that hairline in there. All these subtle little face details. So yeah, I'm having a busy week, but it's great. The new chapter of Age of Night started last week for the public. Patrons got it a little earlier, which is cool. Enjoying where we're at in the story there. And then I guess next week we'll be going back to another Age of Night page. I'll have to figure out which page we're going to be working on. It's the same kind of problem as I'm having with this issue of I Am the First, is that it's like it's the last like installment of a whole book. Everything's a bit spoilery at this point. Okay, I think the idea is that down here is supposed to be black. I think that's what we're doing there. Oh, I think this is supposed to be black too. Yeah, and I had a friend asking me today what I had planned for the con season for this year, and I did very, very little last year because I was, kind of easing back into it and also just kind of like seeing how it went because there's a certain amount of like, okay, are we actually back? Is everything gonna like explode? What's going on here? And then also like one of my events last year did get canceled because I got friggin' COVID right before it, so I didn't get to go. But this year I've got a few more. So like going to PAX East is kind of the like kickoff of my convention season. Hey, look, it's another panel. It's done. We're only 33 minutes into the stream. We will probably get this done tonight. With time to spare, even. So I will be at PAX East, and then I will be at the main Comic and Toy Con in Portland at the end of April. And I will be at Heroes Con in June. And I have not decided if I'm doing Plastic City Comic Con yet or not. I was looking at my sales from last year. It was actually pretty decent, so I'll probably end up doing that one again. It's also they changed the date. I was worried it would interfere with our family camping trip, but it looks like they actually moved it out a little bit to a little later in the summer, so it might be fine. I gotta look because the other thing is I'm going to be going to Gen Con to work the Free League booth at that convention. I'm going to be at Granite State Comic Con, and then BCTC, the Bangor Comic and Toy Con. And that's it for confirmed stuff this year. But I am going to be applying for mice. We'll see how that goes. Entering the SPX lottery. We'll see how that goes. Like, I'm not really holding my breath for any of those, but it's like, so those might end up happening. We'll see. very intense look Alec is giving it his own hands. All right. There we go. That's a face. Try not to mess up these hands. I'm pretty happy with how they came out when I drew them, and I don't want to mess them up. There, I managed to not completely destroy them. Hooray! All right, so we've got some spot blacks to put in here. There is way more on that brush than I thought there was. Oh my, that came out very thick in that spot. Oh my, oh my. I kind of mushed that thumb. Oh well. I will have to try to fix it later. It's just kind of skinny now. It's just like a very tiny thumb. Oops. All right. One panel left. Hooray. White gouache. Yes. White gouache is the solution. But I got to let all of this like dry more than just like the quick like, oh, it's not super wet anymore. You got to give it a little bit of time before you go over it with the white gouache, or else it'll basically like, if it's at all wet, the white gouache will kind of just spread any wet around. And then you'll end up with gray instead of white. So, got to give that a little bit. I'll come back and do that at the end. And we'll try to fix it. Because we're on the last panel. Hooray. Try to keep my brush staying nice and pointed. Very serious face going on here. Get that mustache in there. All right. Look at that. All right. Hooray. Look at that. This page is like all done. We're going to try to fix this wonky thumb real quick though. So I'm going to have to call for a quick assist here. Hey, can you refill my water for me? I need clean water. Oh geez. It's the final panel. It's the final countdown. Except it's the final panel. Thank you. All right, my husband's getting me clean water because I don't want to use gray inky water to use my gouache. That would be bad. All right, where's... Now I gotta find all my stuff. Gouache. That not a lot left in this tube, but there's still enough. Where's my palette? There it is. Thank you. Oh, my desk is still a mess. I still really need to clean it. Okay. Palette. All right. I don't need a ton. I'm just gonna open. Ooh, it's very, as you can see, gouache is very like goopy in its unaltered state. So as I squeeze a little bit out of this. Also, this stuff is very expensive, which is why I'm using every last drop out of this. All right. I should be able to get a little bit now. A little more than that would probably be good. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. There we go. That'll be plenty. I do have another tube, but I'm just being frugal and using all of this. Okay, I'm gonna get a teeny tiny brush, and you have to add water to this because right now it is like, it's like practically dry. So we're gonna add a little bit of water at a time, just enough to make it kind of like, needs a little more, just enough to kind of get it to flow. The middle of it is still very goopy there. Let's get that worked in. You're looking for like a heavy cream like consistency, because at that point you should be able to paint with it. That's looking pretty good. But it will still be opaque. So, okay. Now let's see if we can fix this poor thumb. Oh, hey, look. Just a couple little lines and it's so much better. As you can see, the white gouache sits really nicely on top of the ink. And you can tell under the camera because it's different than the stuff that has all the blue pencil smeared on it, that it's obviously different. But once I take all the blue out in Photoshop, you won't even notice a difference. And yeah, so I use white gouache a lot for just like general cleanup. Yes, sometimes I do with I am in the first pages. For this, for like an actual like, oh, I messed up the drawing, but like an actual I messed up the drawing type thing, I will try to fix it on the page just because I'm concerned that I would forget about it by the time I got to coloring it, because I don't color these right away. I'll do a bunch of them. I'll like draw and ink a bunch of them. I'll send them to Jeremy. He'll flat them. Eventually, he'll send them back to me, and I will get back to coloring them weeks later. So I would very easily forget about the fact that I had messed up that thumb and wanted to fix it. But little things like, oh, this little line came out of the panel a little bit. Yes, I could fix that with gouache. But for I am the first pages, I tend to fix stuff like that just in Photoshop since I'm in there messing around anyway. For Age of Night pages, I pretty much do all of my cleanup on the page because that's the whole deal with that is it's just obsessively analog. The whole thing. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I'll very quickly go over the YouTube things. I'm Amanda Call. This is my channel. So if you like watching me working on comic pages and talking about what I'm doing, you should subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. The page that I worked on is from I Am the First, which you can read more about at bravenewcomics.com. It is written by my friend Jeremy Flagg and drawn by me. You can also very frequently find me working on Age of Night pages here on the stream. Age of Night is my webcomic, which you can find at ageofnight.com. You can also support me on Patreon if you feel so inclined. Patreon.com/ageofnight. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me. We now have this beautiful completed page that will be going into the final issue of I Am the First. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with me. I will see you next time. Bye.